So the Xbox Game Showcase was yesterday, and I took some time to watch it and figured I'd do a recap and share some of my thoughts on the lineup. Overall, I found it pretty underwhelming. There isn't a very attractive list of exclusives, and we saw nothing of the supposed power of Xbox Series X. Compare this to the PS5 reveal event where graphical horsepower was on full display, as well as a great lineup of exclusive titles. Now, I'm sure things will end up looking a lot better when the Series X finally arrives. I own an Xbox One X, and I did notice a pretty significant boost of processing speed and graphical fidelity, especially on 4K displays. But let's get into the games. First up was Halo Infinite, which is causing the most buzz because 1, it looks like it plays exactly like all their Halos, and 2, graphically it's pretty flat. Textures don't really pop, nothing jumps out at you about the world. It all around looks pretty ho-hum. Not really what people were expecting. If you're going to show off your flagship game, one that's only months from release, you better make sure that it looks absolutely gorgeous. There are some nice things like the grappling hook for getting around, a more open world approach, and the gunplay looks as tight as ever, but even this close-up of the game's big bad just doesn't look up to par visually for a next-gen console. Moving on, we have State of Decay 3. Undead Labs looks like they're taking it in a much more serious direction, and I have to say I'm intrigued to see what they can do to add more horror and survival elements to the game. The first two had a Zombieland-esque levity to them, but this is shaping up to take things in a different direction entirely. Hopefully they'll really nail it this time around. Next up we have Everwild, which looks like some kind of cooperative animal rescuing game or something. It's all cutscene and no gameplay, so it's hard to make a determination on what this is exactly, but it's coming to us from Rare. Now, after Sea of Thieves, which I found really underwhelming, I'm skeptical whether the studio can deliver anything beyond some nice visuals, but jury's still out on this one. Now, at first I thought this was Life is Strange 3, but it's called Tell Me Why. You'd be forgiven for confusing the two because this is an emotionally driven story about siblings with magical abilities. It looks okay if you're into that sort of game. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is getting a graphical update, so any fans of that series take note. I haven't played any of the games, but they're highly reviewed and regarded, so it looks like a nice upgrade for fans. Grounded is coming to us from Obsidian, which is mainly known for their RPGs, and they've never done a survival game before. The setting is interesting. Basically, it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and you'll craft and fight your way through a backyard jungle. Obsidian is also working on a fantasy RPG, which is giving off serious Skyrim vibes. At first glance, I'd say it looks a bit, generic. But these guys made Fallout New Vegas, one of the best RPGs ever, so let's have a little faith. As Dusk Falls is another story-driven game that has a nice art style, but it looks to be more TV show than game. If you dig the Telltale games, then this should be up your alley though. Hellblade 2 got a brief mention with a featurette to show off the location scouting they're doing for the game, which will take place in Iceland. I've heard nothing but good things about the first game, so yeah, great that they're doing their homework. Psychonauts shows up to the party with a splash of psychedelic colors. The mind-bending adventures of Raz continue in Double Fine's most recognizable franchise. It's good news for fans and looks to be a nice bit of platforming and fighting. And hey, look, Jack Black. This next one is for Destiny fans. They showed off the new darkness powers Guardians will be wielding in the fall expansion, and there were some nice reveals, particularly using grenades to create ledges. A nice way to get some elevation on enemies. They also confirmed that D2 will be coming to Game Pass along with all of its DLC included. This is a massive deal if you've been considering getting into Destiny, as Game Pass is just a couple of bucks a month or something. And all of that content is easily 50 or more hours. They'll also be releasing an Xbox Series X version of the game, but no word on a price just yet. I can't imagine they try to go $60 for just an upgrade, but we have to wait and see. Now this one was buried in there, but Stalker 2 is a big sleeper that should have been a bit higher in the batting order in my opinion. The first game is a legendary shooter and inspired another great series, Metro 2033. This was all born out of the film Stalker, which if you haven't seen is one of the best science fiction films ever made. Just make sure you've got 3 hours to sit down and watch it. Warhammer Darktide looks like a Left 4 Dead 4-player co-op game based off the trailer, which to me sounds great. I haven't played a ton of the 40k games, but Space Marines frying genocidal aliens and mutants with flamethrowers, it sounds like a grand old time. The Medium is a horror game with callbacks to Silent Hill, where the world shifts into a hideous and twisted alternate version of itself. Out of all the games shown off, this looks like it's got the best visuals, so horror fans should take note. Phantasy Star Online is getting a new game or a remaster. I don't really know. I'm not a fan. There are anime things in it. So, there's that. Crossfire X is interesting because Remedy is attached to the project and they've never done an FPS before. There's not much detail on this yet, so we'll have to see if it can go beyond just what appears to be a COD clone. Remedy is known for the Max Payne series and mind-bending concept games like Control and Alan Wake, so there may be more to this than meets the eye. The multiplayer version of the game will be free and the campaign will be for sale. Not a bad model that we may see implemented in the future. To cap things off, Xbox revealed that Fable will be making a comeback. I really enjoyed Fable 3, so it'll be nice to take a trip back to Albion with better graphics and the series' signature morality system, as well as sharp writing and outstanding soundtrack. Okay, that's everything that was showed off. But they promised that they've got more in the pipeline. Out of these, though, I'd say State of Decay 3, Stalker 2, and Warhammer Darktide are the games I'd keep an eye out for. But don't be surprised if Crossfire or The Medium end up being standouts as new original IPs. Only time will tell. I am a little surprised, though, to not see other Xbox exclusives, Sunset Overdrive, some of the older franchises, things that debuted with the original Xbox One. I mean, of course, we saw Forza and things like that. Just a thought, but I think Xbox really needs to go beyond Halo when it comes to having recognizable tentpole franchises. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to drop a like, comment, or subscribe, as those things are a big help and will encourage me to make more videos. Until next time, game on.